Well, good morning. This is Marty from the back porch here. I don't get to go very far this week. Been about 6 days ago. I put a hurting on my foot. And it looks a lot better than it did. But anyway, if you can't see that, you'll probably consider yourself lucky. It's pretty ugly. But there's these words I have to use lately more. One is convalescence. I don't know if I like that word or not. Words are usually neutral, but sometimes when you apply them to yourself or somebody else, they take on a new meaning. Convalescence. Taking time, making time in some cases, to slow down, to stop and rest and heal and recover, and who knows, after surgery or after a traumatic event or after something painful or disease or illness. Anyway, I'm convalescing. And I haven't been able to walk with Miss Debbie over there. She's laying out in the sun enjoying the rays. But it's one of those times when a couple of things happen, and for me especially. One of them is I get sidelined, I get sidetracked, I get stopped from doing something that I was interested in doing. Either physically, obviously, you can't walk, you can't go do things when something like this happens. And that's bad enough. And then emotionally, or what I call creatively, you lose your ambition to create. And I'm kind of a maker, a doer. I guess I don't know if I'm not alone, obviously. A lot of people like to make and do things and keep busy. But that all gets kind of tossed out the window when you're convalescent. And so you gotta have a different attitude, a different spirit. And sometimes I have it and sometimes I don't. And when I get grumpy or sad or discouraged, it's because I'm losing that good attitude about my only job right now is to get better, to recover well. Even making this video takes some creative energy, and I'm glad I'm getting that. I'm glad I got some of that. But you got to change your mindset when you're convalescing. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy. You got to take a little different philosophy, I suppose. And I like some of the world philosophies. Taoism, all of them tell different stories. All of our faith philosophies or ways of living use stories to kind of cover the experience of humans and nature. And in those stories, they explain kind of a way of wisdom. And there's wisdom to be found in all the world's major religions, I would say. There's probably a lot of wisdom in places hidden, too, that we don't know. I tend to think that a lot of wisdom is right out here in the natural world, and it remains for you to discover and uncover. But anyway, I got a story, kind of an ancient Chinese proverb story, or parable, if you want to call it that, about a farmer's shifting fortunes. And it's one of the Taoist ways of taking a look at the long haul, the long game, you might say. And I like it for that young man who broke his leg. Once upon a time, there was a farmer in China who owned one horse. His neighbor saw how much he relied on the horse and came to commiserate with him when the horse ran away. Such bad luck, they said. The farmer, though, was not troubled. Maybe, he said. The next week, the horse returned, bringing with it a herd of wild horses. The neighbors came over to congratulate the farmer. What wonderful luck, they exclaimed. Well, the farmer never wanted to get too excited now. Again, he just said, maybe. The farmer's son, a young man, was trying to break in one of the wild horses when he was thrown off and broke his leg. Well, guess who showed up to commiserate with the farmer and his son this time? Some more of his neighbors. They came by and said, Well, we offer our sympathies. Such bad luck. How terrible, how awful. And yet again the farmer replied, "You know the answer by now, right?" "Maybe." Just a few weeks later, conscription officers came to the village to recruit all the able-bodied men for the army. The war was brutal, deadly, devastating to the whole country, the whole countryside. But when the officers saw the young man with his broken leg as they were trying to conscript him into their army, they left him behind. They said he'd be useless to us. He'd be more of a burden than any help. The neighbors, amazed by this turn of events, came to celebrate with the farmer. "What a great stroke of luck. Your son was spared," they cried. The farmer heard them, and as before, he simply replied, "What? Maybe." You know, we tend to look at all these things that happen to us and go, "Well, that must have happened for some reason," and then we try to prevent it from happening again. And I don't know if I have an answer for why I stepped in a hole over at Pioneers Park and went 8 inches down or whatever it was, and tore and stretched and pretty much mangled most of my tendons or ligaments and maybe some bones in my foot. I don't have an answer for that. Was it happenstance? Was it chance? Was it something planned by divine forces? I don't know. I really don't know. But I do know that I've got a chance right now to recover and a chance to rethink and reform and get my personhood, my plans, my activities back into some mode of what am I going to be about? What am I going to do? How am I going to use this time to not only recover my physical foot health, but some other types of health as well. Anyway, don't be too quick anyway to judge whether something is good or bad. Figure out how to profit from it. Anyway, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.